All right, what is up? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, y'all. Test check. We're still working on getting set up and ready to go. So if you're joining us now, give me just a few minutes and we're going to go right to all y'all's questions here. Audio's working, good to go. Sharing screen. There it is. And we don't want that view though. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I think this is the one that I want. Is that it? No, that's not it. Oh, I don't know why that's not working. Y'all give me just a minute. We are just about set up here, but not quite. There we go. And finally, that's awesome. Yes, if you're watching this, please like and subscribe. That really helps. Thanks, Lucas. Y'all, I missed you guys. I really did. We had a spring break last week. Grandma took the kiddos for the week and we had some fun, did a little traveling, this, that, and the other, and really spent some quality time with my bride. So it was well worth it. But I did miss you guys. So we're getting a little bit of a late start today. I wanted to see if we can catch up some of it. Y'all, I don't know if you've been paying attention here to the Ask an Arborist group, you guys, but this has been absolutely wild. We are growing faster than I know what to do with. And I'll show you here because this is the only way I know how to tell. But I think January 5th, we hit the 5,000 person mark. Check that out, you guys. See that there? We're growing by around 100 people per day. And that's just crazy to me. Let's see if that works. You see that? No, you can't see that. That's terrible. Let me see if it's... Let's see. Maybe I could do this. Focus on that. Yeah, look at that. I can focus. Cool. Yeah. Oops. So that's a 7 and a 7. 7.7. 7,700 people. We're growing by over 100 people per day. 721 divided by 7 days in a week, y'all. If we're doing fun, fancy math, is 103 people per day. And that is just, y'all are blowing my leaves away, guys. So fun, and really appreciate y'all being a part of this. So if you haven't yet, do me a favor, go ahead and like this video. That really helps to push it out. Y'all, I've got some crazy news for you guys. And this is the only announcement I'm going to make. And then, y'all, we have got so many good questions to go over here. But this is just really cool to me. So I put in a submission to the International Society of Arboriculture, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. And I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't think, hey, they're going to hire me to come speak or anything. But I got an email last week, and it was really maybe a couple weeks ago. And it was really encouraging to me. I'm pulling it up now. Let me show you guys, because this is really nuts. My submission was essentially a talk about arborists, how they create liability unknowingly. But check this out, you guys. Oops. Bring this over here so you can see it. All right, now I'm just going to read this off because this is really fun. Hello, thank you for agreeing to present at the ISA 2026 Annual International Conference. Please complete and return the attached speaker agreement by Friday the 13th. That was last week, and I did. We are still finalizing the agenda, and we'll share with you the specific location and time of your presentation once finalized. As previously stated in your speaker invitation, you will receive an email in 1 to 2 weeks with a link to our conference event platform, Cvent. There you'll be able to complete You will complete additional documentation required for conference participation. Y'all, I'm going to be speaking at the ISA International annual conference this year, and it's going to be a subject that a lot of you tree guys, I hope, will be able to really appreciate, because it's a subject that I see so many guys get wrong all the time, and that's creating liability. When I first got started, I was talking to certified arborists, and we talked about contract write-up and proposals and things like that. And I remember they would talk to me about, my mentors anyways, would talk to me about should versus shall versus will, versus, all these different lingos that we use, or you must, things like that. And it turns out so many arborists create liability where they just don't need to. And, over promising things that we just don't know, we can't tell the future and all that. So, um, anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I am super stoked. I'll be presenting for the first time ever, at least in my history, at the International Society of Arboriculture's annual conference. This year it is, I believe, August 10th through 14th in Chicagoland. So hopefully you guys will be there. I know a lot of you guys are a bunch of tree nuts like me, but if you're not, that's exactly why we created this channel, is to answer your great tree questions. And so we've got one here that just came in literally just now. Let's go ahead and get started, you guys, and let's talk some trees, because like I said, I'm stoked about all this, and I'm ready to answer y'all's questions. But again, if you haven't yet, do me a favor and like the video. That really helps to get the our YouTube channel pushed out there as well. And if you haven't yet, of course, go follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button once you get there. Many of you are actually watching here on the live stream on YouTube, so I'd love to have you join us on the channel. I teach this stuff about trees and about being an arborist and all the different cool things that it entails. And it turns out there's really a lot that goes into it. I think as arborists, we really need to take ourselves more professionally, more seriously, because we really are a unique breed of humans. We can do cool things that other people can't. But we also have not just a maybe an ethical or moral obligation, but we actually have a fiduciary obligation. And if you're a certified arborist, you signed an ethics agreement way back when you became a certified arborist that says that you are a fiduciary. So with that being said, y'all, let's jump right into our questions. We've got like, oh, Lucas has been approving, y'all. Like I said, we've had 100 members per day come and join us, and so it's just crazy. This is all we do now, is basically just approve approve or decline y'all's comments and posts. So let's check this out. This is from Kevin. What's up, Kevin? Zapita from somewhere in the world. I'm sure you're around here somewhere. Dallas, Texas, my old stomping grounds. What caused these holes, and what are the solutions? Well, let's check it out and see. What holes, bro? Oh, that's some sort of a, yeah, that's some sort of a borer exit wound, I believe. That could be just mechanical damage. Honestly, Kevin, I'm not really sure. I can't really tell, but it looks like some sort of mechanical damage. It could be, boring insect that's the exit wound. Basically, these insects will lay their eggs inside of the trunk or on the branches, and as the larvae grow up, they actually chew the living tissue, and that becomes their food source as they're growing up. That's where they get their nutrients and vitamins and all that, and they grow up, and once they become an adult, whether it's a beetle or a moth or a wasp or whatever, then they chew their way out of that little hole, and that becomes what we call an exit wound. And so I can't really tell in there. I don't think it's a borer. It looks more mechanical damage to me, but I could be wrong. But that's going to be my best guess. I will say this too. It looks like you've got a kind of a discoloration going on there. And so I wonder what's underneath there. Let me point you to this video right here. If I can find it, you guys. 1 second. The decay. And again, thanks you guys for joining me. If you haven't yet, do me a favor and like this video. That really helps to push the algorithms out there, promote the channel. That's really been something I'm trying to do this year, is to really grow the YouTube channel. We're growing like weeds up in here on the, oops. Huh. In our Facebook group, the Ask an Arborist group, but we haven't been growing nearly as quickly. We're at, like I said, 100 per day that's growing on the Ask an Arborist Facebook group. But we're really not growing very fast in our YouTube channel. So we're trying to figure out exactly why. Is it something I'm doing? Maybe if I change the title a little bit, maybe I need to hook people at the beginning. So y'all feel free to comment and let me know. I'm really curious what y'all's takes are. Do me a favor, just go over there to the tubes of you and check out a couple of my videos and give me some feedback. I really want to know. All right. So I think that answers Kevin's question. Thanks for your comment, Kevin. All right, now Anonymous is cypress here in Michigan. Based on bark and brown needles, worried about its health. Do you see anything of concern? Are you sure that's not a cedar? Leland cypress, it could be. I could see that. Yeah, I think it's Leland or something similar. Cypress, a really common problem is fungus. I don't see this as fungus. You could be dealing with mites too. So one thing you could do, let me zoom in a little bit here. Oops. Yeah, the brown needles on the ground don't tell me much. It doesn't look like any kind of rusting. Oh, but I do see this, Anonymous, sorry, whoever you are. I do see the root flares are buried, so you're going to want to unbury those. One really common thing is Ceridium canker. Ceridium canker, and it depends where you're at. Wisconsin, I think you said? Michigan? Michigan, okay. Based on bark and brown needles, I'm worried about its health. Do you see any areas of concern? The bark I'm actually not real worried about. It does look like maybe you've got something mechanical pulling it away. So like squirrels could be. Let's see. Yeah, the bark actually looks pretty normal. I do see maybe some borer symptoms here. Those could be just branches that were removed though. Yeah, I don't see that. Maybe if you can give me like a little close up, that'd be helpful. But Ceridium canker is a really common one. What I would probably say is you're going to want to water less. Most people overwater on a not just overwater, but they water too frequently. And so they're putting too much down or sometimes not enough, but just doing it super frequently, like once a day or three times a week. And really your trees want like deep and infrequent waterings. Yeah, I'm wondering, it could be Ceridium canker, but Ceridium canker is usually a little more isolated to one side or the other. So I'm not really sure. I think your best bet is actually going to be to send a sample off to your local agriculture extension. Here's a website you can look up and just go to that website, find your Michigan's. No, that's not true. No, that's not what's going on, William. I think it's possibly Ceridium canker. But it could be mites. It's not real common. Mites are not like the biggest problem. Mites typically take advantage of a already stressed tree. So I'm not really worried about that being like the number one. It could be, but send a sample off to your local agriculture extension. Just find the Michigan one there and you can just check it out here. Oops, way too many times there. Just go down here, go to Michigan, and you've got it right there. Talk to those guys. Give them a shout. You can call them up. I'll tell you one thing I love about agriculture extensions. It's a bunch of plant geeks like me, a bunch of nerds, tree nerds. And so they usually, if you like start asking them questions, they are usually very friendly and want to help you out best they can. So give them a shout. That'd be a good place to start.
If it is Ceridium canker, I got bad news for you. It's not a happy outlook, like not at all. But it's definitely worth finding out. So, anyways, hope that helps, buddy. We're moving on. Noel, Christina. My grandfather has this tree in her front yard. We're trying to figure out what it is and how to take care of it. Any help is appreciated. That to me looks like a weeping cherry, Prunus species. Yeah, I think so. Let's double check with the robots because it turns out there's an API called plant.id and I've got that attached to my robots. Yes, okay, weeping cherry. It agrees. The robots agree based on hundreds of thousands of pictures on the interwebs. And so that is a weeping cherry. The main thing you want to do, Noel, you want to make sure that the root flares are not buried, water deep and infrequent. So yeah, that's what I would do is basically just add a 1 to 2 inch layer of mulch, water deepen infrequently, like once a week during the summer max. Don't overdo it. In fact, the more I know and the more I learn about trees, the more I'm like, yeah, just don't water, you guys. It's like whenever it's an extreme drought, go ahead and water. If it's not an extreme drought, don't worry about watering. You don't need to. Trees are okay. Trees are basically made of air, made of carbon dioxide and water. And then the tree takes that carbon dioxide, takes the water from the soil, takes the carbon dioxide, also off gassing from the soil typically, and just that which is naturally in the atmosphere, uses sunlight to take those and do some crazy chemical mixing there. And that creates a Oh, what's up, Sprout? Yeah, glad to hear from you. Anyway, so the tree leaves basically make C6H12O6, carbon dioxide H2O, CO2 and H2O, and sunlight energy to combine them and make that turn all of those elements into glucose, C6H12O6, or sugar, if you will. And that becomes the basic building blocks. Those three elements alone make up about 94 to 96% of the tree. So very important that the tree is functioning. Mulch, water, whenever it's a big drought, and just make sure the tree's not stressed. If you see things, address them early on. I do see a little bit, I will say this, it is a little chlorotic for what I know cherries to be, weeping cherries to be, but that could just be from the new leaves. New leaves sometimes are a little more yellow than old leaves. So hey, huge shout out to Sprout. What's up, buddy? Thanks so much for being here, man. Hey, I'm sorry I missed you too. I think I told you I'd be live last week, and man, I just could not get it done. My wife and I were kind of traveling a little bit and spending some quality time together. And grandma took my mom, anyways, not my grandma, my kid's grandma, and grandpa took the kiddos. We had a great time just reconnecting and really spending some quality time together. So sorry we missed you guys last week, but y'all, we are back at it. And so Sprout, so glad to have you here, buddy. Always a pleasure seeing you on our live streams, and keep those good questions coming, man. Keep learning, keep growing, and hopefully you're here to see that. You said you can't be there. Got a band tour, dude. That's so cool. Hope y'all do really well. All right, looks like we got another cherry coming in from Sven Yu. Hi everybody, I'm hoping to get some advice here. I actually posted about this cherry tree last fall, but at the time there were a lot of weeds around the base. People said it was hard to see the root flare. Yeah, if the root flare is buried and covered in stuff, we can't see it. I've since cleared the area so the base of the tree is now visible. There appears to be some rot at the base near the roots. By the way, you guys, make a note of this. That is exactly why we don't put mulch volcanoes. Friends don't let friends mulch volcano. We all know that by now, hopefully. Ooh, that's a good one, yeah. And so we don't do mulch volcanoes. You want to make sure those root flares are exposed. And this is exactly why, because whenever the part of the tree at the base is not allowed to get air, oxygen. Oftentimes, what will happen is that decay will set in, and you'll get this. Now, I will say this, Finn, and I really appreciate you following up, man. The leaves are okay. Make sure they're not touching the trunk. So you got a few up here that I definitely move. But if you look really closely right here, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we're going to pull up paint because I want you to remove these girdling roots. See all the tree photos, y'all? All right, so we're getting paint out. Copy, and then we're going to paste that bad boy. Cool. So if you look down right around here, Sven, you've got a big problem with these little girdling roots right there. Oops. Let's make that red and give it a nice big old fat line so you can see it. Right here, and then where's the other shape? Got to get an arrow. Also red. Right there. And then when we get another shape, we're going to do one right here. And then select. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Actually, let me delete this one. Oops. All right, so copy this. Yeah, I agree actually. That is a good point. Is I don't think I don't think it's really a hazard structurally to the house, at least what I'm seeing here. I could be wrong if I'm missing some pictures or something, but it looks like if it were to fail, it's all already leaning away from the house. Probably not a huge deal, but you've got to keep everything away from that base and open it up. Also, you got a couple girdling roots here. You could use a chisel and hammer. And let me see. I think I have a video about that too. One of these days. Oh, okay. What's up? You're in Tennessee and you're like 1.5 months ahead of us spring. Spring wise, dude, it's a 90 degree. It was no. Today it's actually 50. I woke up, it was 39 degrees outside, Sprout. Sorry, man, I wasn't on that screen. I didn't see you. But yeah, it was 88 the other day, and then this morning it was 39. So little different. Here's a couple videos for you, Sven. Hopefully that'll help you out. But yeah, I think it doesn't. Charlie's right. He's got it. It's not really a structural hazard per se, but you definitely want to get rid of that girdling root. It's really interesting to me. You can actually see the roots starting to come down. Those are aerial roots, or what the tree's like trying to recover. And you could see it was covered up so much that all of those aerial roots started actually coming down. But yeah, you got to get rid of those two little girdling roots there. That's going to be really critical for the rest of this to grow and expand. And so that's really important. But hope that helps, Finn. We're going to move on now. All right, Joshua, what's up, buddy? So this is actually a fun little conversation we had. Now, he got the a little permission to cut from some other arborists out there, so appreciate the solid advice. I told him maybe it's better not to do it, but that's okay. He went ahead and did it anyways. And he's got a safety helmet on. She's got her safety glasses on. That's a joke, of course, but they did. They got it done. Problem solved. Trees down. Everybody came home happy. It's a Norfolk pine, I believe. Norfolk. Is that right? Y'all, I looked it up. It was how many was it? It was 40,000 different types of trees, something like that. So, y'all forgive me when I get the trees wrong, but Norfolk, thank you. Turns out there's a lot of trees. That's all over the world, but once you start adding in some of the varieties and hybrids and cross hybrids and this, that, and the other, man, it gets up into the hundreds of thousands of different trees out there. So forgive me if I get the ID wrong. Pretty normal, but all right. So Anonymous is saying Texas oak. Oak tree started shedding bark on the trunk. No other signs of distress. Canopy's good. Do have many years of drought here and water restrictions in place. Any thoughts? That's called smooth patch or smooth bark. It's pretty common with live oaks, especially. I think that's live oak. Yeah, it looks live oaky to me. Especially if you're here in Texas. Yeah, that's live oak. Yeah, so smooth patch is really common on slower growing trees. It's basically fungus that eats the outer layers of the bark. That is non-living tissue, and it is completely harmless to the tree. So, Jen, don't worry about that. I think you're okay. I think you're okay, Jen. Yeah, the main thing is, again, just make sure it's getting plenty of water whenever you got a drought. Where'd I put that? Here we go. I'm just going to keep this real simple here, y'all. Just give it a little bit of water anytime you got periods of drought. Make sure it's not stressed. If you start to see problems, that's a sign you got to do something. But the other thing too is make sure your soil's not too compacted. If it is, what you could do is you could take a screwdriver, jam it in the ground, see if it's like super dense. And if you can find an arborist with a soil penetrometer, there's not a lot of us out here, especially here in the Texas area, but I carry around one. If you're in the Houston area, I'm happy to help. But yeah, it's not, trees are pretty self-reliant. I will say this, keep the weed and feed away from it, because I'm wondering if you've got some herbicide damage going on here. I'm really wondering. All right, Sprout. Actually, hold on. So yeah, I hope that helps, Jen. We're anonymous. We are moving on. My bad. Oh, I'm a jerk. All right, Sprout is saying we're in Tennessee and they're like 1.5 months ahead of us spring wise, dude. I'm telling you, the struggle is real. It's hot there too. That's technically the South, I guess. Oh yeah, the topping in this area is really bad, sadly. So is the meth problem. Did that come out of my mouth? My bad, y'all. Tennessee's methed up. Sorry, that's a terrible joke. Tree topping, that is, and huge cuts and lion's tailing, all around horrible tree care, which was shocking to me. Welcome to the dirty South, bro, and welcome to arboriculture. Memphis area. There was more in the Memphis area, but yeah, everyone now knows my tree obsession. Hey, I have people that call me Tree. Like, there's my mom's parents' friends and all that. One lady calls me Tree. It's like, I got a name. It's not Tree. But anyways, so welcome to the club, buddy. Okay, I have questions. Okay, also the red oak group of the South is so hard to identify in the winter. Maybe for you. Down here in the South, we're used to it. Oak is an oak is an oak is an oak is an oak. Y'all have more variety. At least coming from the North. Okay, so I have questions. How do I tell my parents that lawn fertilizer is bad for trees and say the symptoms is actually get them to care and say the symptoms and actually get them to care, which I'm sure they will just need to explain it well. What I would say is when I talk to people, I try to relate it to things they're used to. So like organic versus non-organic, genetically modified versus not genetically modified. One thing I like to say is like, when it comes to fertilizer, is like, go look at the forest. The forest does not need to be fertilized. Forest is fine. There's a thing called nutrient cycling, And nutrient cycling basically is where sticks and debris fall. And you know this, Sprout. I'm preaching to the choir here, but essentially that is what a tree is genetically designed for. And you're a Christ follower. I'm a Christ follower, so we could say that. I'm hoping your grandma's a grandma. Parents, sorry. Parents are Christians as well. They'll understand what we mean, but the trees are designed to be in a forest. They're made of air, yes, but they form a bond with fungus. Now, whenever you put those lawn fertilizers down, the reason they do well in the forest is because of those mycorrhizal fungus and because of fungi and because of the beneficial bacteria that fix nitrogen out of the air. As soon as you put that chemical nitrogen down in the ground, it's actually going to unalive a lot of those microbes. Like, chemical nitrogen is so bad, you guys. It's just so bad. How do I tell them that the lawn doesn't have to be so pure non-native junk grass that dries out so bad in summer because of monocultures? Oh, okay. So you're saying like more of like a natural prairie type grass is what you want to tell them and talk to them about. What I'm saying is, how do I tell them that the lawn doesn't have to be just pure non-native junk grass that dries out so bad in the summer because of monocultures? That's a pretty tough one, because it's kind of like a non-vaxxer convincing a vaxxer to change, or a leftist to convince a rightist to change, or a Christian convincing a Muslim to change. People are so stuck in their grasses and their landscape plants and their trees and all that. And my own neighborhood, we got nothing but live oaks, y'all. A couple pines here and there that from when the live oaks unalived, but it's a really tough one, because the only thing you can really do is maybe educate them and kind of like dangle the carrot, if you will. Just like a cat, you can't just go out there and play with them. You got to kind of take the toy and drag it along the ground a little, and let them get curious and have a little fun. So that's how, whenever I'm talking to people, I kind of try to pique their interest in that sense and explain it in a way that they can hear it. And so your parents better than anyone probably. And so I would just use whatever they know in the conversations that you all have and relate it to the grasses and the trees and the flowers and the bees and all that. You don't have to have that talk with your parents. But anyways, that's the thing. Age barrier for me, because I'm just a sophomore in high school too, so I'm still not older and wiser. Yeah, I mean, and I'm happy to shoot, dude. Bring them onto this. Bring them in, and we'll have a conversation together. Join our lives. Have them join our live stream. That'd be super fun, and we'll talk shop a little bit. And they're probably older than me too, but that's okay. We'll at least have a little fun and talk shop. And who knows? Maybe I can get a convince them, maybe not, but we'll see. It's a tough one, because it really is. People are stuck in their ways. They have been marketed to by Scott's brand turf grass. All their neighbors got just St. Augustine or bluegrass or whatever, Bermuda, whatever. There's so many different monocultured grasses. I'm not a fan either, to be honest. I would much rather see a bunch of weeds popping out of the ground. That's going to tell me that, well, first of all, that tells me that you've got a healthier soil, because a lot of those weeds are actually not a plant out of place. They're mechanics. And so clover, we think clover is a bad thing. Oh, it's so ugly. It attracts bees, whatever. But clover is clover generates and produces nitrogen, feeds a lot of the plants surrounding it. So that's a great thing. Whenever you cut down a large stalk of some sort of a weed or something like that, like milk thistle growing up, you get these really thick stalks. When you cut into it, you'll see little white flecks in there, and that's calcium that those tap roots are pulling up into the canopy. Now the dandelion or whatever it is, the weed, milk thistle, unalives. Now all that gets returned into the grass. So anyways, yeah, hope that helps. I'm going to move on to some of the other questions. So Michael Jr., which is a great comedian, by the way. I didn't know he climbed trees too. Just like any other tree, wood can pinch a bit. I'm working on a very large codominant sugar maple 90 foot and 40 inch TBH. Tomorrow I'm doing an end weight reduction and recommending cabling to the customer. Anyone ever cabled a sugar maple? Not a sugar maple. I've done silver maples, red maples. I've done actually a Norway maple in New Jersey. But I've never cabled a sugar maple. What I would say is kind of exactly like Charlie said. It's just like any other tree. see what he's saying. He likes wedge grips. Wedge grips are great. Rig eyes are great, but you really need to know a little bit more. Wedge grips are you just put the cable grip on it, the wedge grip on it, put the cone on it, and you're done. Problem solved. The rig eyes, you actually have to bend the cables and do it right, and there's a specific way. So I would say wedge grips are going to be your best bet. They're a little bit more costly, but well worth it, especially if you're just doing 1 or 2 cables. So hope that helps. Moving on. Sarah's asking, City would like from Toronto, Ontario. What's going on, Canadian, my fellow American, technically not United States of American, but Canadian American. So what you got? The city would like to leave this storm fallen branch wound, but can the tree recover from this? Wouldn't it be much better to make a clean cut to help it? This is actually a really, really interesting debate. So I love what Adam is saying. Adam is spot on. So the thing is, we used to say every time you cut it back to the nearest parent branch, etc. Nowadays, we're realizing that actually removes a lot of stored sugars and carbohydrates. It also removes a lot of tissue that the tree could use to produce sprouts. So I love that, Adam. Thanks so much for saying that. And that's exactly what I would say as well. A big cut like that is you're just asking for problems. Yeah. I mean, that's all there is to it. You're just asking for problems. So it's better to just leave it alone, honestly. If you've got any really jagged edges, you can, like up here, let's see. Let's just zoom in a little bit for you, Sarah. Yeah. So what you can do is just clean up those wounds just a little bit, and you're going to want somebody that really knows what they're doing. Don't come in and just like try to get up there and do it yourself, especially with all that snow load on there. You got to know somebody that we call it a bark trace. You want them to know what a bark trace is, and that it's not necessary. The tree can figure it out, but it just helps the tree along a little bit. So not a big deal as it is, but definitely want to leave it alone. Maybe try to get a good solid qualified arborist out there to take a look at it. I'm happy to help myself, y'all. Anytime you need a closer inspection on it, feel free to just hit us up at arboristondemand.com, and I'm happy to take a look at it myself, see if we can help you out. But hope that helps. We're moving on. Oh, this is fun. Anonymous was asking, I'm looking for a certified arborist in northern Louisiana with experience testifying as an expert in court, which is really super cool because I actually messaged her, and arborist at Rushing's Tree Care LLC. You're going to need somebody, nothing personal, Randy. You're going to need somebody that's more than just a regular certified arborist to be working with this one. This is actually working for the state of Louisiana. So what she really needs is an ASCA RCA or a board certified master arborist. So nothing personal against you, Randy. I know you've given some solid advice in the past, and that's great, but yeah, they really, I don't know. Doesn't say what you are. Are you a certified arborist? It says arborist, but I don't know what that means. That can mean so many things. All right, but yeah, really what you want to do is you want to, oh shoot, did I click that on accident? Oh well. Hey Lucas, do me a favor, if you could post these from Arborist on Demand, that would really help out too. Yeah, I got you. I think there's an age barrier for me because I'm okay. Let's go back to Sprouts questions. I really have a few tree questions because I'm not in an area for tree questions because I still can't identify the trees. That's funny. I did get to climb some pecans and bald cypress. That's great, man. I love that. Let the tree pull back. Let the tree pull the branch back if it wants to, but otherwise it just acts like a huge heading cut. It can develop into its own new branches. Yeah, I agree. All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us, man. Sorry we couldn't hang out longer, but hope y'all do really well in the band trip. Y'all have a great trip, buddy. All right. There we go. All right. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I think I know what happened here. I could be wrong. We'll see. So John's asking, can anyone tell me what's going on with this Norway maple? The trunk has been bent down. Hey, later, buddy. We'll see ya. The trunk has been bent down and almost touches the ground to the right of the frame, but then it curves up and branches beyond that leaf out fine. I think it may have been pulled down by wisteria or wild grape, but those are long gone now. That was actually I didn't even read it, but that's exactly what I think happened. I think a vine wrapped around this bad boy. I'm not sure what. Could be grapevine, could be wisteria. Grapevine typically kind of wraps more like that. Wisteria doesn't so much in my experience anyways. What I'm curious about is the vine-like wrapping that remains, and all the bumps in the trunk below that remains the branch. What I'm curious about is the vine-like wrapping that remains. Oh yeah, that's just how the tree is growing. Eventually, it will outgrow that. That could be 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. But something girdled it here, kept wrapping around, and that's that. And that's super cool. I love seeing like nature do its nature things like this. That is amazing. Looks more like box elder. Maybe. Yeah, that does to me, actually. Looks like the top half of the tree is trying to engulf the bottom half like a serpent. Yep, I'm that useful. No virus. It was girdled by vines while growing. Yep, hey, there we go. Good eye. That's exactly what I was thinking. My wife and I used to go to these Comic-Cons, and we'd sell her fine fan-based jewelry all over the United States. And one guy came over and he's like, hey man, I don't have any money, but I got these staffs, and he gave me like a super cool staff like we just saw. But anyways, that's exactly what it was. The vine wrapped around it, caused that really unique growth pattern, girdling style, and the rest is history, literally. Okay, this is super cool. Sarah, different Sarah, where are you from? North Carolina, cool. Charlotte. What exactly happened here? The more I look at it, the less I understand. So this is retrenchment 101. Tree started to lean. Whatever happened, I don't know why. This grew and something happened on the end here. Yeah. So something happened to unalive this. Now, that's that retrenchment. Retrenchment is essentially where trees start unaliving from the top down and lower their overall canopy. Oftentimes, you'll see this massive explosion of sprouts that happen at the middle and lower canopies. And basically what happens, that's the tree's survival technique, is it lowered that center of gravity, that center of mass, and that made it a more stable tree. I think the tree started to fall at some point. Maybe it was caught by some other trees, continued to grow, and then something caused that primary branch here to unalive back. Meanwhile, it put off all these new epicormic sprouts that grew into permanent branches. So now you've got this crazy cool thing where tree grew that way, sprouts popped up and became the dominant portion of the tree. I love that because that is so nature and trees doing their nature and trees things. So thanks for sharing that with us, Sarah. So that's super cool. We're moving on. Hey, by the way, I see we got a bunch of y'all in here, and thanks so much for joining us on YouTube. Do me a favor, if you get a chance, can you go ahead and like the video? That really helps to get it pushed out there. So. Yeah, Mother Nature trimmed the lightning struck branch. Okay. So that was a client of mine. He was I told him eventually that limb was going to come down after it got struck by lightning, but I said, like, it's got green tissue on it. Let's let the green tissue do its green tissue thing and just go from there. This is hilarious. Michael sent me this. Why is it doing this? I got this new phone. I don't know how to deal with it. That's funny. Hey man, the leaves fell off your tree. They're incredibly biodegradable and will be gone by the end of winter, so you better hurry up and rake them into plastic bags. Solid advice. That's good tree humor. Thanks, Michael, for sending that. If you're listening, I don't know if you're here or not, but Yeah, that's the technical term for it. I love this. So going back to Sarah's, that's called geotropic growth. So as the tree is being pulled down here, it wants to recorrect and start growing the opposite direction. So that is exactly right, Wade. I love that. And it looks like it's doing a real good job too. That's a cool picture. So yeah, Sarah, really appreciate you sharing that with us. All right. Uh-oh. What happened? What happened? Lucas, what'd I do? Help. Me neither. Just clicking buttons. All right, let's get back down to Sarah's. Hmm? Well, we were on Sarah's. We were just finishing up Sarah's. No, we were at Sarah Davis. We got John Lipcott, Sarah Davis. There it is. Okay. Nick Diver. Only sign I saw of trouble is where woodpeckers hit it. Any way to detect future problems in the other tree? Probe the base with a drill. You do not need to do that. Let me show you a couple videos that I made. Decay. How to detect hidden decay. Man, what a mess. Yeah, so this is a classic like here's why you don't make big amputation cuts like that because that's essentially what that is if we look here, you could see a big cut made, big cuts, big cuts, big cuts all over this trunk. And guess what happened? Decay set in, that they started decaying the internal, and the rest is history. Literally. Really glad that missed your house and all that, but yeah, here's a couple videos that this was a sign. Yes, it was actually. Justin, good call. Beat on the trunk with a rubber mallet. It's exactly what I'm saying here. Here's another one. And that's that. Yeah, just take a rubber mallet. I really, if you want to do a little bit better, get a rawhide mallet. Rawhide works better because it's less dense than wood, but it's more dense than rubber. So instead of getting a kind of a bouncing off of the trunk, it'll actually resound a little bit better. You can also use like a wooden mallet as well, but wood, depending on what type of tree it is, can actually damage. What you want is something less dense than the tree wood, not metal, but more dense than like a rubber mallet. So rawhide is the best. Rubber is the next best if you can get it. And if you want to get really fancy, you can get like a walnut mallet, ash mallet. But I would not use that on like a pine or cedar or something like that. The pine and cedar is going to be less dense. Use that only on like an oak or another hickory or walnut, something like that. So, all right, we're moving on. Stacy and Stuart and Stacy Gero, sorry guys. Along with everything else, the deer chomped on this year. They also got the 2 apple trees. Of course, any course of action we should take, or just let it go and see what happens when things start to bud. I know it should be protected, but unfortunately fencing is not an option. That's okay. This is just a sample photo. Mine do not have brick around them, nor are they mulched or close to the tree. The root collar is exposed. Well done, guys. Did all my trees last after the advice on here. Fantastic. Way to go, guys. I love that. We're having an impact on this, on people. So maybe they grew so well and had so much sugar in the leaves that the deer were like, that sounds delicious. So root collars exposed. Worst year in 26 years with the deer. About to just let it all go back to nature and just mow. I love it. But don't fret just yet. What you can do is, what's that, Lucas? It's like you're in my head, bro. Yeah, cayenne pepper is going to be your best friend here because here's the thing. Have you ever stuck your face in cayenne pepper? I haven't, nor will I ever do that because that sounds terrible. So, Stacy and Stuart, yeah, get some cayenne pepper. Now you can just sprinkle it around, or you can make like a little tincture, if you will. You could spray it. Mix some water with some cayenne pepper, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and a raw egg. or two, and just mix those together. It doesn't have to be in any perfect sort of ratio, just enough to where it's going to be able to spray through a spray bottle. So diluted enough for that, but not so much where it's not going to be effective. Just spray that all around. They don't like rotten eggs. They don't like apple cider vinegar. And they definitely don't like cayenne pepper. And what you'll do is you're basically just going to spray that around once a week. You can even just take the cayenne pepper and sprinkle it around, especially during the winter, because they've got less lower brush to munch on. So they're going to go after your apples. They're going to go after they love arborvitae and some cypress, things like that. So most deer are herbivores. I mean, all deer are herbivores, but they're going to eat plants. And so they're looking for those low leaves. But I'll tell you what, they get into that cayenne pepper a couple times and they are not coming back. You will train them for like life not to do that if you just do it a few times and maybe do it a couple seasons in a row. And after that, you should be able to let them go. If they do start to come back, go ahead and keep going. But yeah, if it rains and it washes it off, then you definitely want to do reapply it. But see the live stream. There you go. All right, Janet had a great question. I planted this Dura Heat River Birch approximately 20 feet away from my house. I'm hoping that will be far enough away. Opinions, be kind. Yes, we talked about this, of course, already. And you are plenty far away. I believe they get to be about 30 feet wide, and I believe they get to be about like 40 feet tall. So 20 feet away, you might have a little bit of overlap over the roof, but it's not even going to be significant. I think you actually got it in like a perfect spot where it's far enough away to not cause damage, not be a concern with the foundation of any sort, but also give you that canopy coverage over your house. You want it to be close, but not so much that your insurance company is going to just cancel you all up and down the street. So, yeah, we talked about that. Glad for the great question, and carry on. I think you're good. You got a beautiful little tea garden, by the way. I would definitely hang out back there. That's a super cool place. You do want to make sure, hold on, make sure those root flares are exposed because it looks like they might be a little bit buried. I'm not sure if this is winter going on whatever plant this is off to the right, but that could be some sort of fungal pathogen. I don't know. Or it could just be because it's winter and you got a lot of things that don't have leaves on them. So it could be okay. But anyways, hope that helps, Janet. And we are moving on. Joshua, we already talked about your trees, dude. And thanks again for the great questions. Looks like you got 110 answers. So you and I talked. I'm really glad you got it down. It was safe and sound. So moving on. Floyd Tree. What a great last name. Uh-oh, where'd you go? Floyd, where'd you go? Are you an arborist? That's fun. Licensed Maryland tree expert. So, y'all, we talk about how guys will go around saying they're like licensed and bonded. That's a big tell that they really don't know trees at all. If a tree guy comes up to your house and they say, yeah, we're licensed and bonded, or licensed and insured, or insured and bonded. Bonding insurance is for municipal projects and big projects, and it's for when you have work inside of the house or employees that are working inside a house and could potentially steal from the client. That's where bonding insurance comes in. So if they say bonding, probably not good, unless they hold municipal contracts. But if they say licensed, if you're not in New Jersey, Maryland, Connecticut, I believe, four others. I think there's 7 states that have a licensing program for tree care. And so if you're in one of those 7 states, great. That you can market and that you market that you're licensed. Great. That's true. You're a licensed tree expert. Say it loud, say it proud. If you're down here in Texas or in Louisiana or Florida or one of these places down south where we do not have a licensing program, there is no regulations, and they come at you with some, oh, we're licensed. They're not certified. They don't know trees. So that's just a good tell. But Floyd Tree, licensed Massachusetts tree expert. Way to go, dude. Carry it on. That's amazing. Small 3-inch diameter Japanese maple. Any recommendations? Absolutely. Pull those rocks away. Mulch. Rocks are not mulch, y'all. They're just not. And oh wow, we're like growing like crazy, y'all. Check this out. We've gotten just so here. Let me refresh that 927. Thank y'all for joining us. Love to have new people, you guys. So fun. We're trying. We're so close to 1,000, you guys. Y'all invite all your friends. Share the group out. Share the Facebook page if you don't mind. That would be amazing. But rocks are not mulch. Landscaping myths busted. Rocks are not mulch. So don't conflate the two. They are not the same. They don't do the same at all. I will say this. Oops, sorry. Why is it doing that? It keeps doing that to me. The tree is sealing. Now here's the thing. Japanese maples are super sensitive to you're in Massachusetts. We talked about that. To the what's called sun scald. And if you think of sunburn for us humans, trees can get sunburn too. We call it sun scald. And basically what it is the sun is baking and unaliving the cells of that particular area. And so whenever you get a tree that's sun scalded like that, there's that it had some extreme heat, and I'll tell you, those rocks are only going to reflect the heat more. You got to get them away from the trunk of that tree. You do have some fungal mycelium on there, but I don't think that is a primary. I think that's a secondary infestation, or infection rather. Radiant heat from the sun off the stem. Yeah, you got to get rid of the rocks. So critically important. What I might do is actually plant like some lower shrubs too, something that'll stay small because those Japanese maples don't get big. I take that back. In Massachusetts, they get massive. Yeah, I've seen 25, 30 foot wide Japanese maples and tall Japanese maples in New Jersey. And you're in a very similar climate. I'm not sure about the soil type in Massachusetts, but I imagine it's a sandy loam. Which is a really good, healthy soil. You definitely want good drainage. Yeah. Get rid of the fabric too. Replace with wood chips. Water the tree adequately. Albie gave you a great. Albie. Planting shrubs, shade the trunk is a great idea. I'm going to use that. Me too, Charlie. Charlie's a great arborist, by the way. I think you've got a tree. I don't know what the canopy's looking like. But if you can keep that tree growing and thriving, it looks like it's compartmentalizing that wound really well. Now, you may have a weird cavity in there 5-10 years down the road or even more. But as long as you can keep the vigor and the vitality up on the tree, you got to get rid of those rocks, bro. So bad. Moving on. Kathy's asking, I hear varying opinions on sealing damaged trees. Areas to trees or sealing the site where limbs have been removed. Should you seal? If so, what do you use to seal? No, the only exception is with oak wilt trees in an oak wilt prone area. And if you look up oak wilt map, it's going to show you, if you look it up, here's where oak wilt decline in Fredericksburg, oak wilt disease map. So you can kind of see oak wilt's not everywhere. Very, very uncommon disease. You do have it like Central Texas. We deal with it quite a bit. I think, and we still need a lot more research out there, but there's some guys that are very experienced with oak wilt that are, and actually here in Texas, we have our own Texas oak wilt certification. It's so bad. But I think a lot of it is drought related. Drought stressed trees, beetles come in and the fungus comes in and takes advantage of an already stressed tree. The fungus is not the main culprit. It's going to take advantage of stressed trees. When you get a high enough Brix rating, high enough functionality on the tree and the leaves, then generally speaking, they're going to be pretty good at suppressing fungal pathogens, etc. But the other thing too is, so like, let's say you've got oak, you're in an area that looks kind of like this, somewhere in there where those green marks are. You can actually just look it up. So like, let's look up Illinois. Oak wilt map, Illinois, images. There you go. Borough blight distribution. You can check your county extension as well. Check it out. You got all these different pit maps and such. Yeah, just look it up. But if you're not in an oak wilt problematic area, you definitely should not seal. Don't ever seal your trees if they're not if they're if you remove them, because there's so much research out there that shows that it actually inhibits growth, which means slows it down. So I hope that helps. We're moving on. Brandy's asking, not sure what kind of tree this is, and I don't know anything about winter pruning. Pruning trees in a manner that is healthy for the tree. Is it going to cause any problems to cut back the areas over the driveway, sidewalk, and branches extending over the house? Yes, but I would not do all of that at once. You can remove. Oh yeah, okay, maybe that's okay. Let's take a picture of this one. That is a sycamore or London plane. That's a good question. Now, I actually would not remove that one over the house at all. I would leave that alone. What I would do is do branch weight reduction over the top. So let's do this. This is a fun one. Save image as. Oh, we'll just copy it. So what we want to do is zoom in a little more, actually. Now, here's what I'm gonna show you the exact cuts that I would make. This is super fun. Brush. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do thick, and we're gonna say remove. Oops, undo that. That's not good. Lucas, remind me to get rid of those cool pen thingies. This one, and then I would remove this one. So that's good. That's sufficient. We're done there. All right, on this one, I would remove this branch, and I would remove, zoom in a little bit more. Maybe this one back to there. Maybe this one. That leaves this one growing up. You've left a good portion of it still in the air. And then let's go. Oopsies. That's okay. You're gonna have a little red mark there. Hope you don't mind. I would remove this one back to here. That's not good. Yeah, I definitely got to get one of those cool pins. Remove that one down to there. I don't know what is going on here, but it looks like you could probably do some reduction cuts. You're kind of starting to see, hopefully, what I'm looking at here and the way I address this. So you can do the same thing. I know the goal is good. The intentions are good. You're just trying to get, what is it doing? You're just trying to get the weight off and you're trying to get the tree to spring up. So like making these reduction cuts is significantly better than removing entire limbs. So we'll go and save that. Remind me who? Brandy Sycamore. Oops. And that's going to be significantly better than removing all of those. It's going to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish and keep the tree healthy and intact. What you don't want to do is make big amputation cuts, because those big amputation cuts are going to hurt the tree and they're going to set it up for decay pathogens to come in later. Brandy Sycamore. Awesome. And I want to go ahead and do this too. I got to start marking it better because, y'all, I was asking for you guys to do the same, but whenever you're commenting on people's posts, if you are a certified arborist or a board certified master arborist or certified tree care safety professional or registered consulting arborist or TPAC or TRAC, track or TPAC, whatever. Like, it's really important to let people know that, because there's a lot of people giving advice on here. Some of it good, some of it got awful. And this just helps the viewer, the reader, to identify whether or not you know what you're talking about. So it's going to differentiate you, make you stand out a little bit more too. That's really important. That way they know who to trust and who just to really speculate on. And, you know, somebody said somewhere in the world is the world's worst doctor, and they're probably booked tomorrow. And hey, guess what? Arborists are no different, you guys. So there, I said it. There's some really terrible arborists out there. I think there's worse terrible arborists than there are terrible. What's that? Well, that's fair. Motorhead Josh, thanks for the great post. You helped drive a lot of traffic to my Facebook group. But yeah, I can't help you there. All right, Sunshine Patty. What's up, Sunshine Patty? You live in Pacific Northwest, but you're sunshiny? That's more down south here where I'm at. I thought y'all stayed like canopied. No sunshine at all. Sorry. All right, I'm new to the group. I recently joined because, well, I've just always had love and respect for all trees, but particularly the great trees of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I love it. I live in a mobile home cooperative park, which means we, the residents, own it and are responsible for its care and maintenance. That has 12 massive green ash trees, which are being maintained regularly, but surface roots have become an issue with curbs, roadways, lawn maintenance, and sprinkler systems. I'm here to see how we can save our pride and joys, not harm them by messing with the root system too much. Eventually, they will all have to be replaced. That's the way it goes. You and I aren't going to make it out of this life alive either. So long-term tree care, safety, and future infrastructure planning is on the table. We will be reviewing the best arborists we can find and accepting bids in spring 2026, hopefully with the help of grant money. Yeah, that's one of those too. You can hire an arborist to come in there, or you can hire an arborist to come there from here. We can do a digital consultation and look at them as well. So, yeah, thanks for being a part of the group, Sunshine Patty, and glad to have a fellow tree lover. Turns out I am too, and that's why I did this for way too long. All right. Ooh, cicada damage. I don't know about that. Hey, that's amazing. It's funny. I've seen so many cicadas. I've only seen them eat the leaves and such, or the smaller branches. Hail cicadas. Woohoo! Hey, looks like this is why we have a collective group think with some phenomenal arborists out there. Ronald Rothas is a fellow registered consulting arborist and board certified master arborist. Ron, I don't know you, but you're giving solid advice. Charlie is one of our newer members, but he is. I don't know why he's not a board certified master arborist yet. This dude knows his stuff, y'all. If you see Charlie commenting on your stuff, listen, because he's a solid arborist. Good dude too. Love like your style, Charlie. And hey, by the way, I learned something new. So Charlie, thanks for teaching the master arborist. I love it. I'm learning and growing just like all the rest of us are. So I learned something new. That is super cool. All right, we're moving on. Russell Stamey. Ooh, this one we looked at. So somebody said it was Kretschmaria or brittle cinder fungus. Yeah, I said to me it looked less like brittle cinder and more like Ganoderma. But either way, that's a nasty. Both of those are pretty nasty. Ganoderma is both of them are basidiomycetes. They consume the lignins and the cellulose, I believe. Both of them do, and even some of the hemicellulose on the Ganoderma. So what that does is it basically destroys everything that's holding the tree up in the air. So don't know what kind of tree it is. If you got either one of those, you're going to want to reach out to your local agriculture extension and give them a shout. That's going to be really important to make sure that they where's that, why is that doing that, um, that you get a good solid diagnosis on that. But reach out to them, send them a sample and see what it is, and give us some results back, please, and thank you. We're moving on. Kylie Gardner, is this maple unaliving? Looks great every year in his budding, but my dad said today it looks unalive. Let's see. Ew, March 15th. I don't see any buds in the picture. I wasn't either. Yeah, I don't see any bud development. Um, yeah, Lance is another great arborist too. All that fungal decay too tells me you got a really nasty situation going on. Now, I will say this, Kylie, the tree has obviously tried to seal. You've got some fresh callus wood tissue, compartmentalization tissue growing in there. That's a beautiful thing, but I don't think the tree's going to make it. I think this too, you've got some seriously messed up structure. And if it were mine, depending on what it's around, I would say I need to start seriously considering maybe getting rid of this tree. You got some weird fungal patches here. I don't see any borer insects, but it's not too bad. I mean, you might mess up your fence and your chicken coop. But hey, the other thing too is if those branches fall on chickens, they're a lot less likely to make it than we are even. So, if you like your chickens, you may want to get rid of that tree. I'm sorry you're dealing with that, but it's in pretty bad shape, like Charlie said. Gibson, girdling root, choking the trunk. Yeah, I didn't even see that. It's very true. Uh, yeah, I don't know. You could do what's called the scratch test, and let's see. There's a video for you. Scratch test is a great way just to tell if the tissue's living or not living, and not it's at least that's a great place to start. Really super simple test. And that'll give you some solid results. So we're moving on. Allison, thanks for your question. Do we need to remove this Norway spruce or could it come back? No, it can't. I'm sorry. That's an easy answer. We are in New York, and toward the end of the summer last year, this tree looked like this. We sprayed the others, but this one was already unaliving. Suggestions? Do we remove it or can it come back? It cannot come back. Most conifers will not recuperate when all the green is gone. That is a true statement. They simply don't have latent buds, so they cannot resprout once the tissue's gone. It's gone. So I'm sorry, Allison. I wish I had better news for you. Tamarac's a good replacement, though. Let's see what you got. There are 5 more of these Norway spruce lined up. We were trying for privacy, but I'll keep that in mind. New York, I think Arborvitae. Arborvitae. Yeah, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. That's not That's not good. I don't think it's coming back, unfortunately. All right, we're moving on. Leave page. Yeah, I don't want. All right, I see we got like 6 of us online, you guys. Thanks for being here. Y'all do me a favor if you can like that. Well, now it's down to 4. If you can like the video, that'd be really helpful. That really helps to get it out there to more people. So that'd be wonderful, you guys. All right, so we are looking at Jane's tree, ironwood. I don't know what that means. In Pennsylvania, pruning all my trees and shrubs right now. The fork on this tree concerns me a bit. If it were able, I'd prune the right half off the fork, but I don't know enough about ironwoods to know this will be a potential split location when the tree is mature. Thanks for your input. See, the thing is, ironwood I know to be like 6 or 7 different trees. And so I don't know what kind of parodius. Let's ask robots. No, robots are liars. It's saying it's a Bradford pear. It's not. No, you can't call Bradford pear ironwood, y'all. All right, let's do this though. This is pretty fun. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, and let's go back to our paint model here. And I'm going to have you, instead of doing just like a hack, chop, and slice one of the branches off, I'm gonna have you do it in phases because we call it new pruning cycles. Well, here's the other thing too. Make sure that you get those rocks out of there. It's so bad for the tree. Replace it with a good set of organic mulch or wood chips, and that's going to be so much better for your tree. But here's what I would do: is I would actually do it in pruning cycles. So you make one cut now, one cut later, and then your final cut in the end. Let's see. Yeah, I know what to do with this. Okay, so you're going to make actually 2 cuts here first. You're going to make your first one is going to be a lovely reduction cut here. No, that's not what I need. Brush reduction cut here. And then your second one, you're going to find a lateral branch up here somewhere, and you're going to remove it back to a lateral branch. Don't top it like it looks like I'm showing you. I'm not showing you to top your tree. Do not do that. But that's going to be your first cut. Your second cut is going to be, and this is not this year. This is next year. Okay. This is 1 year from now. Or maybe even in January, February would be better. Your first cut's going to be there. Your second cut is going to be down to here. And I want you to make another serious reduction cut back to here. Purple's your second cut. And then your third cut is going to be in yellow. And it's going to be that final cut back to here. We call that pruning cycles. And what that does is it allows the tree to recover and allows the other canopy to catch up before coming in with the big pruning wound. Those big pruning wounds are tough for the tree to handle. So what you don't want to do is remove it all in one fell swoop. And then now that stresses the tree out and it's lost the tree's leaves, which are what produce the carbohydrates and starches and sugars that become the basic building blocks of the tree. Essentially glucose, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. That's what makes up 94 to 96% of a tree. So here we go. So we're going to save that, Gene, and no, I didn't mean to do that. I need to get one of those fancy mouse pads. They make those, right? That would help with my crazy mouse. It's like all over the place. All right, Gene. Sorry, that took a minute, but here's you a lovely pruning cycle series. This is how I would do this instead of just hack chopping and slicing. All right, buddy. Hope that helps. All right, so Jason's coming in with a great question. Last year, this willow appeared to unalive on one side. What should I do? Should cut the unalive sections off and let the tree recover on its own? Yes. I would not pour a lot of time and energy, money, resources, whatever, into a willow. Unfortunately, they're just not long-lived trees. Now, this one, you can tell the root flares are buried. You got a whole half of it's unaliving. I would not spend a ton of money on this. You might could try to give it some extra resources in the forms of sugars, but honestly, your best bet is to make sure the soil is not compacted and maybe do like a mulching around there and just hope for the best. Because the thing is, I would not pour a bunch of money into a weeping willow like that. They're super cool trees, gorgeous trees. I love weeping willows. I love corkscrew willows. Is another really cool variety of willow. Willows are neat trees, but yeah, I put on here before you remove the limb, do the scratch test just to double check, make sure it's completely unalive. Sometimes you just get a late bloomer. What I wouldn't do is just go pouring thousands of dollars in trunk injections and spraying and deep root fertilizations. Oh my. I would do a mulching because it's a cheap solution that's going to emulate the forest floor. I would remove that section if it truly is dead, unalived, excuse me, only, and just give it, hopefully give it the best shot you can. The thing is that limb really should have been removed like 20 years ago, but it wasn't. So now we're dealing with this, and you got a weakly attached limb. The remainder of it's going to be structurally kind of compromised until that seals, but realistically, that will never seal before that tree is going to be a goner. So, hope that helps, man. We're going to go ahead and move on. All right, Michelle's asking my cedar elm, which is one of my favorite trees, by the way. That's funny. Cedar elm, Mesquite, Texas, up in my old stomping grounds. I did a lot of work in Mesquite, actually. Is it able to be straightened? I also need to start pruning branches. Any tips? Well, first of all, your roots have not broken into the soil, the new existing soil. If it's 3 years in the ground, my goodness, those roots are just doing really poorly. Struggling, struggling to get established. This is one of my favorite videos I made. It's called radial trenching. And essentially what you're doing is you're drawing radial paths for the roots to grow and start to get established. So see that one, check it out, and see if that's a very simple way to do things. Basically, if you got a shovel and you got some compost, that's going to set you up for some good success. Hold on one second. I don't even care about the typo. I do actually. Ha! All right, and then Jason again is asking about a sycamore. Cool. Thanks for another great question. This one actually I think got a lot of attention too. 96 comments. Look at that, y'all. That's crazy. Sycamore has grown two primary leaves. Should I remove one? Should I cut one of them out before the tree gets bigger so that it has just one leader? If I leave it be, will it create problems later on in life? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna copy and paste this. Copy. It's basically the same answer. Paste. And then we're going to copy. Paste. And then we're going to do this. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to do this. Copy image. then we're going to open up a new paint again. And we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. Now, the real question, which side would I choose? Assuming nothing other than that weeping willow I think we looked at earlier is over on the right side here, I would actually start reducing this left side in preparation, not now, but in preparation to remove the whole thing. Because yes, you absolutely want a single stem tree. This is a codominant lead, and it's extremely weak structurally. I want to caveat this by saying you don't have to remove the whole thing. What you have to do is make sure that one side or the other is dominant, because the thing is if these continue to grow like that, eventually they're going to get really top heavy and it's going to rip. One of them or the other or both are going to come crashing down, and now you've got either half a tree or no tree, and either way is not a good option. So let's take this and we're going to go ahead and do this. I would probably pick the left side because the roadway is over there. So I want to see this cut be made. Oops, no, I don't. I want to see this cut be made. Where's that pin when you need it? I want to see this cut be made. I want to see this cut probably be made. Not the whole thing, actually. I want to see this cut be made. And then I'd leave it alone. That's year one. All right, that's right now. Do that right now. Year two, we're going to make it in purple like we did the last time. And we're going to be a little more extreme. I'm going to try to get rid of some of these whole limbs. So I might cut it right here. Maybe just one cut. One cut. That's it. And I'm going to make a better cut because that's terrible. But like one cut right here. I can't. I got to get that pin, Lucas. Now you've removed the whole top. All right. And then the final, and I might even remove like back to here maybe. Looks like you've got a lateral to cut back to here. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got to remove this. This is not. Oh, my goodness. What have I done? All right. So you can see that comes from this branch. Don't worry about that cut. But you can kind of see what we're doing. We're stepping this down in phases. All right. And then your final cut is going to be in yellow down. We need a brush, not a eraser. Final cut's going to be right there. Now, if this left side gets completely stunted and it doesn't continue to grow like at all, and the right side starts to become really dominant, you might not even have to make that final cut. Because here's the thing, I really don't like a big cut like that right now, because that is forever going to be a weaker spot, a point of decay, if you will. And that's going to weaken this tree, this side. Hopefully your tree's got great vigor. I will say this too, is you've got to get rid of you've got to expose the root flares. That's really, really, really important. But that is essentially what I would do is just start to make those pruning cycles and hope for the best. Jason's sycamore. All right, so now we're going to put this in here. So glad I could copy and paste that. That's so much better anyways. My lazy butt self. All right, so we're moving on. Holy cow, we got done with like 2 days already, Lucas. We're killing it. Co-leader on this sugar maple was previously removed. It looks like there's a high side, not close enough to color for proper healing. Advice on making an additional cleaning cut on the high side. What angle or where would it start? Actually, I think do not touch anything. Remove that little dead chunk on there and leave it alone. Because both sides have new compartmentalization tissue coming in. If you want to really step it up a little bit with some beneficial, Yeah, I'd leave it alone. I think you're okay. You're definitely right. You're seeing more callus foot tissue development on the right side than on the left side on the high side, but you're just outside of that branch bark collar. So I would let the tree push the rest of that tissue out. Yeah, I would not do any more damage trying to micromanage it. I agree with Ronald. I agree with Joseph. Just outside the little branch stub, also remove the stub. The stub will fall off on its own. I'm not worried about that. But honestly, you could just like just tap it a little. It should pop right off. Push on it just a little bit. I think you're okay, Jack. I wouldn't be too concerned with it. Um, I would just let the tree do its thing. And it seems like it's in pretty good health. Why am I capitalizing everything? I have it on caps lock, like I'm yelling. I would leave it as is and make sure the tree is healthy and thriving. Keep keep a good 1 inch to 2 inch layer of mulch on the soil surrounding without letting it touch the trunk, and water whenever you're in periods of drought. All right. Hope that helps, Jack. We are moving on. Craig's asking, ooh, this is fun. I really like Crimson Queen Japanese maples. It was very healthy. I don't see any budding like my baby crimson is doing in the box. Is it unaliving or just slow? Another branches don't look very much alive. Looking for advice. Thanks in advance. Just added a pic of how healthy it was when I planted it a year ago. Oh, that's a beautiful tree. I really love Japanese maples, particularly those Crimson Queens. They're just super cool trees. Um, this is what I wanted. Here you go. The scratch test. Oh wow, that's a beautiful tree. Yeah, and you've got it in the right spot too. You got that shade right over it. I'm an all-star contributor, you guys. I finally made it. I just saw on my it's an all-star contributor. I was like, I better be. At this point, we've been doing this, Lucas. How long? About a year? A little more than a year. Yeah, we've been doing this for a little more than a year. We've grown again, you guys, thanks to y'all. Like this has nothing to do with me. Look at that, 7.7 thousand members. That's crazy. There we go. All right. Cool. Craig's saying, hey, new to this group. Thanks for being here, Craig. I recently joined because me and my wife have gotten into gardening and landscaping in the last year, so we have a lot of questions. I built a little garden box last year for my daughter, and I haven't stopped since. Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, Sterling Few, find a master gardener class near you. Free training covers a lot. Oops, this is what I want. Oops. Considering buying a townhome that has a large southern magnolia in the front yard. I'm concerned the prior owners may have planted the tree too close to the building. I'm not. Do you think it would negatively affect the foundation in any way? What would be ways to mitigate any potential problems? So here's the thing, you guys. Tree roots specifically, grow in an area where there's water and there's oxygen. Water and oxygen. Anytime you've got a tree next to a foundation, it does not want to be under the. Let me caveat that. Anytime you've got a tree next to a slab foundation, it doesn't want to be under your house. There's nothing for it there. So as soon as those roots start going under there, they're gonna like run into basically a desolate wall of lifelessness under the ground. And then you say, "Nah, I'm going somewhere else." They're gonna turn right back around. Now that being said, magnolias tend to draw a lot of water out of the ground. That's why they grow so well in places like Louisiana, down here in Houston, etc. They don't like wet feet. They like to be drained a little bit, but they definitely, especially a large southern magnolia, they like good drainage, but they love excess moisture. And so you don't have a bad a tree. I actually really love southern magnolias. I don't think it's too close to the house, although you want to make sure it's maintained and pruned properly. If you're really concerned about it, because what can happen is water can be pulled by the tree out of the soil. That can cause moisture fluctuations. So if you've got a clay soil in particular, now I'm not a foundation guy, right? But I know how much that soil, that clay soil, can shrink and crack. And especially like if you look out there on a particularly hot summer day and you got these big cracks in the ground when you haven't had any rainfall in a while, that is a clay soil typically. And what that is those are voids that are being created as the soil dries out. So the tree can contribute to that and pulling moisture out of the ground, which can cause the ground to shrink and expand, which can leave voids, which can cause your foundation to drop. That is how indirectly the magnolia can impact the tree negatively. But I'm not really concerned about it right now. Those southern magnolias get pretty big though. So 10, 20, 30 years down the road, you may be looking at a potential problem. If you're really worried about it, put a root barrier in. But I would not do that at this stage, honestly. I would let sleeping dogs lie and maybe just make sure your foundation gets watered periodically to make sure that that moisture level is staying pretty consistent. Make sure you water on the other side of the tree too to encourage root growth over there more than on the foundation. So hope that helps, Logan. But yeah, I think you're okay. I don't think you've got a big problem right now with the tree being as it is. No, that could be 5 years down the road, 20 years down the road. You might be looking at a different situation. And, but yeah, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the foundation. Make sure really hot summers, you're watering a little bit just to make sure your soil's not doing that shrinking and expanding really badly. But hope that helps. We're moving on. I don't know if this is the best group to ask, but what is your favorite tree to plant for privacy? Giant arborvitaes, eastern red cedars. I've added my 2 cents in there as well. I think you got some great advice. Now you got some decision making to make. So hope that helps, Irving. We're moving on. Sunny Lee Stallings. We talked about this. These are catalpa worm, or catalpa is another word for it. Frost unalivement. I can't even remember what I said. Here we go. Catalpa. Catalpa is another word for it. Catalpa worms, too, are a real thing. Why is my... Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah, root flares buried. Such a cool tree with their giant root flares buried. It's topsoil conditions like Charlie suggested. Well-drained soils seem to be what catalpa trees prefer in my experience, not in my research. So just take that with a grain of salt. Hopefully get some oxygen and drainage. Yep. So I posted a couple little videos there for you. Hopefully you've gotten a chance to watch them. But yeah, I would do some vertical mulching, some radial trenching, and that's it. Yeah, I wouldn't spend too much time, energy, and effort on that. That catalpa is a struggling. But if you do it right, you may have a tree there 20, 30 years down the road if you can reverse the problems. I do think it's a compacted soil issue. You can see kind of the soil, how compacted it is right around there, that really nothing will grow except the weeds. So I would assume you've got a compacted soil. It looks like, in my humble opinion. I'm not sure, to be honest. Hope that helps. Moving on. Ooh, I love this one. Help! What is happening to my palm tree? I don't know what started it, but I can definitely tell you, it's never going to seal that wound. It just won't. And I posted a video on there. Y'all, palms are different from regular trees. Palms are monocotyledons. Most trees are dicotyledons. What does that mean? Well, it means they don't have a trunk or a cork cambium. They don't have a cambium that's producing that new xylem or that new phloem, creating that xylem and I forget what they call it, lignitating, lignosing. I can't remember the term for it, but basically where it causes the xylem to create these long strands that become tubes and vesicles and creates the strength that holds the tree up in the air. So if you've because they don't do that, long story short, because they don't do that, they're unable to seal those wounds. So anytime you get like Ganoderma or any type of fungal pathogen or any type of mechanical damage, the tree just simply does not have the ability to seal itself. And so I'm really sorry to hear that and see that, but that's kind of what's going on there. Yeah, hope that helps. But we're moving on. Darwin, what's up, Darwin? Silver maple trunk split on several years ago, all the way around in an attempt to save it. Maybe incorrectly had some weight removed and also had the main trunk cabled together. Cool. It's about 5 years ago now, and I'm seeing signs of decay on two of the main leaders. And I'm just going to make this short, sweet, and to the point. The thing is silver maples are. That's funny. Silver maples are not. Oh, that's a gross cable too. You used a Home Depot turnbuckle there, didn't you? Yeah. So that tree was topped. That was not weight reduced. They cabled it to that little limb, huh? That's actually fine. I must be seeing things. That's too funny. Yeah, I think it's a ticking time bomb. I think you've not got a lot of time left on this maple. This is the correct answer. The day you topped it was the day you unalived the tree. I think it was unaliving before that, in all fairness, or in the process of. Let's see, because here's the thing. Tree is not killed. A skilled arborist can manage it. Hack can make up excuses to hack it down. It's not great. The rot after topping is normal but not fatal. Pruning info here. Y'all follow this because this guy right here, Guy Mayer, is a legend in the tree care industry. He used to write an article for ISA, I think every quarter, or at least maybe every episode, every month. But it was called "Detectively Gets Arborists to Think Forensically." And so, yeah, follow that advice. Guy is like one of the leading experts out there in the world when it comes to dealing with legacy trees with lots of decay. So you got some solid advice on there, Darwin. I like it. I don't think it's unalived yet. I think it is a silver maple, and they are not the longest lived trees. So take that with a grain of salt. All right, we're moving on. Let's do, Lucas, what do you say? Maybe two more, and then we'll call it a night. By the way, you guys, I see we got quite a few people on here. If y'all would do me a favor and hit that like button on this, that would really go a long ways to help push it out there. We're really trying to grow our channel. Check this out. Since we've been on this live stream, you guys, we've had 2 more people come on. It was at 9:27 earlier, and we're at 9:29 right now. So thank you all of you who have joined. Oh, look at that. Another one. 9:30. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I do this because I don't get paid for it. I do this because I want to see humans helped making good decisions with the trees they love and live around. And also I have to earn money for my family. So sometimes that leads into good digital consultations. And if you do need a closer look at your trees, I'm happy to help you out as well. And get on a digital arborist consultation. You just head on over to arboristondemand.com. Oops. There it is. That's close enough. And yeah, just sign up for one of our digital arborist consultations. You can just sit here and click one of these buttons here. That'll take you right over where you need to be. Fill in your information, and we'll get started on a digital consultation. So yeah, that's if you need a closer look. We're happy to look at your trees no matter where you are in the world. We do this all over the world. Literally, I was on the phone with a guy from the UK the other day. And then we've got 2 court cases going on in Ontario right now. So really, with all the digital things that we've got going on, all the AI and all the technology, we can take a look at it no matter where you are. So we actually just finished up a court case in Georgia, of all places. So All right, Andy's asking. I know the correct answer to this, but I'm going to ask or not Georgia, but South Carolina. Sorry, close. I'm sure I should prune this deep crotch till next fall. Correct? I believe it's Prunus serratina. Prunus is going to be cherry of some sort. I don't know, serratina. I love the tree because it's a keystone plant. Please chime in. Let me go back. I'm going to get some of my. Yeah, you want to do this in pruning phases. So what I would probably do is remove the left one, even though that seems counterintuitive because it's the more straighter one, right? But I think the left one is the subordinate one right now. And so just go with that. The tree's already subordinating it, keeping it smaller than the primary dominant lead. You don't want to do it right now. You want to do it in pruning phases. So take maybe a third of that off now, another third of it off next winter, and then you can make that final cut down here at the bottom. I don't have time to go over and do like real specific details and mark it up and all that, but I have indeed commented on there already. So hopefully that helps. And we're moving on. I'm interested in, we're going to skip this one because this is kind of a fun little, more for fun than anything, I think. But mammals that cause or other vertebrates that cause damage to trees, beavers, elephant, deer, raccoon, or not raccoons, but squirrels, moles. Oh, I didn't think about that. Moles will cause problems. They'll chew on the roots, and voles, moles, whatever. Those ground rodents. So, all right, what's up, Stuart and Stacy again? Hey, look at that. We got rising contributor up in here. And again, thanks for being a part of this group. I really love the questions y'all are bringing. This one got a ton of attention too. 7,400 comments. Some of them fantastic. Some of them just absolutely terrible. I hope you made the right decision. But yeah, that looks like deer is chewing on it. And I think that was the question we had before. And you had some deer chewing on it. So use that cayenne pepper or just put it in a bottle, mix it up with some water, some raw eggs, which will rot. That's the point. And a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And that's just going to be just god awful for those deer. So spray that on there. When it rains, put a little bit more on it just during the winter. But the real question you had was, can we remove those bottom limbs? Yes, you can. It's not ideal. It's better to leave them if you can and just get the deer off of them. You can absolutely remove them. I don't think that's going to be too much for those trees. They look to be in really healthy condition otherwise, but it looks like you just got those deer munching on them. So if you can keep the deer off and let them grow and thrive, that's great. If you can't, if you just got to get rid of it, go ahead and cut them. But you might want to put in something that's going to deter the deer. See what I did there? So anyways, that's not my bad. I'm sorry, you guys. That's cheesy as could be. Hey, yo, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it for the night. Again, thank you all for so much for being here. If you haven't yet, like this video. That really helps push it out there to the masses and help us grow the channel. Let's see if we got any more. Again, while we were talking, y'all, we got 3 more people on here as subscribers to our channel. And so we really appreciate y'all being here. This year's push, we're really going to make this well, first of all, we're about to be at 1,000, y'all. That is a threshold marker. That means we get to get into the monetization categories. But the whole goal is just to help you guys be better stewards of the trees that you love and live around. So if you haven't yet, again, just go follow us on the Tubes of You. And again, keep those great questions coming, you guys. We are just growing so rapidly, y'all. It's getting to a point where we have no control over it anymore. So love you guys and really appreciate y'all being a part of the group. I just want to check it one more time real quickly. Ooh. Gross. 7.7 thousand members, and we've had 711 people join in the last week. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but that's 100 a day if you're a mathematician. So that's pretty crazy, you guys. And we're just really excited that y'all are a part of this and being a part of this community. So thank you all so much. Keep those great questions coming, you guys, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye now.